At Petco Park in San Diego, the New York Mets play the San Diego Padres. Tuesday Night Baseball is presented by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Don't miss a moment of Mets baseball on the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network, only from Verizon. By Tri-State Honda. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2015 models. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. And by Infinity. Visit your Tri-State area Infinity retailer for a test drive today. Beautiful San Diego, California. The Mets arrived yesterday and emerged victorious in their first day in the world's most perfect climate. And the Mets will try and make it 2 straight tonight at Petco Park. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to San Diego. I'm Gary Cohen. Ron Darling joins me in just a moment as the Mets play the middle game of their series in San Diego. You know, it's been 7 weeks since the Mets captain and third baseman David Wright last took the field for the Mets. David went down with a hamstring injury and then had some back pain and stiffness, which led to a diagnosis of spinal stenosis, a congenital condition that he's now having to deal with. For the first time since his diagnosis, David was back in the Mets clubhouse this afternoon, talked about his experience and what the prognosis might be for his injury.
You know, from the moment that, I was diagnosed with this, the information gathering stage, there's never been a question in my mind that, not only am I going to, come back, but I'm going to come back sooner, rather than later. It's just a matter of, being symptom-free and meeting both time requirements and physical requirements in my rehab that I'm just not at right now. The guys in here have been awesome. I get text messages, back and forth religiously. It seems like every day there's a group of guys texting me, kind of going back and forth. And that's been awesome. It's made me feel kind of, like I'm part of the team, which is probably the thing that I miss the most is going out there watching these guys play as well as they played, and not being a part of that. That's really sucked. And but I think that you got two options. Either you allow this to to get to you and you just kind of check out and moan and groan, or you keep your head up and you push and every day you challenge yourself in the rehab to try to do the best that you can and kind of understand that, how good it's going to feel when you get back and get a chance to put the uniform on for real and go out there and play. But I think that, this is probably overused, but, you don't understand how much you miss something until you're away from it from so long. And, this has definitely, got me motivated to, get back, get in uniform and, go back out there and take the field because it's, especially with where we're at, with how exciting this team is, it's been fun to watch, but it's also sucked to watch because, you want to go out there and be a part of it.
Well, despite David's fervent belief that he's going to be able to come back and play this year, the bottom line, Ronnie, is that he's not coming back anytime soon.
You know what was interesting from that soundbite to me was how raw and emotional it was for David. Remember, when he signed that big contract to stay with the Mets, one of the big reasons was he wanted to be part of when the worm turned. Well, the worm is turning, and they're doing it without him. And I know that your baseball mortality for any player is something that's hard to face, and he's facing it right now.
Well, Sandy Alderson addressed David's issues after David talked, and David right now is in a mode where he's seeing the doctor every week. They're doing a physical therapy plan. He's got to pass certain parameters, which he's not close to yet. So the question is, what do the Mets do in the interim?
Well, that's the hard part. I think, they're trying to do it right now with Ruben Tejada, who's been very hot the last 4 games. But I would not be surprised at some point if people in the infield, Murphy, Flores, and others, start changing position to try to hold down the fort until David comes back.
And then, of course, there's always the possibility of a move outside the organization to fill that hole until David is finally ready to come back. Big game tonight for the Mets. Noah Syndergaard will make his 5th Major League start, and we'll come back to talk more about that when we return to San Diego. 1% off each ticket to see the Mets at home June 9th through the 16th against the Giants, Braves, and Blue Jays. Log on to Mets.com/strikeouts for more information. Well, what can he do for an encore? 7 1/3 scoreless innings, 3 hits, including a 430-foot home run in his last start.
I don't know if he can do anything better than that, but he has been so good his first 4 starts so far, showing great control for a youngster.
And Syndergaard's opposite number tonight will be the struggling Ian Kennedy.
Well, no one could have gotten off to a worse start than Kennedy. The 7.15 ERA so far this year. He won 13 games and struck out over 200 last season.
So it's Syndergaard for the Mets. They're trying to make it 2 straight in San Diego. First pitch is coming right up. Hoping this is the night that he gets his season pointed in the right direction. Mets hoping they can continue his downward spiral. And here is the Geico Mets starting lineup. Lucas Duda back in there after missing 1 game with a sore knee. As the Mets, who put up 7 runs and 13 hits last night despite striking out 16 times, go to work in the opening inning against Kennedy.
Well, I mentioned it before. Kennedy's a guy that can strike you out too. He had over 200 strikeouts last year, but it's just been really a struggle so far this year.
Curtis Granderson leads off. First pitch is outside, and we're underway. Granderson 0 for 5 last night, struck out 3 times.
Well, we saw in last night's game they play the shift here in San Diego against Curtis.
Curtis in one of those funks right now, 6 for his last 37, but he drills this one to right. However, Kemp able to make the half dive for the catch, and that's the first out of the night.
The ball fooled him a little bit. He had some top spin on it, so it was getting down quickly. But Kemp makes a fine play.
Well, 1 hard out and nobody on. And now the suddenly red-hot Ruben Tejada. This will be his 5th straight game, playing third base and batting second. In the first 4, he's gone 8 for 17, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs. And in 4 games, has raised his average from 200 to 274.
Ruben, when he went up to the plate, he left the donut for the bat just lying in play. So he had to get it.
Lucas Duda does a little housekeeping. Put it on his tab. And Tejada swinging at the first pitch. Fastball fouls it back, 0-1. Well, Sandy Alderson, as we talked about in the open, referred to the Mets infield defense and the calls by many to shift people around now that it looks like David Wright's going to be out a substantial period of time. Certainly it makes more sense for Tejada to play his natural position at short, and but it doesn't necessarily look as though that's going to happen imminently. Sandy said he's reluctant to move people around for whatever incremental benefit, his word, that might provide. And he certainly made it sound as though at this point the Mets are exploring their options outside the organization.
Exploring their options, or maybe waiting for Dilson Herrera to come back.
Well, that is certainly a piece of the puzzle. Herrera has begun to throw a little bit and swing the bat a little bit, coming back from a fractured fingertip. But this is a team that's looking to win this year, and if Wright's going to be out a long period of time, and again, nobody knows how long that is, they have to figure out the best possible plan to give this team enough offense and defense to go with their clearly spectacular pitching.
Well, it's going to be the same players, so the offense is going to be about the same. What you're trying to do is shore up the defense to help your pitching.
2-2 to Tejada with Duda waiting on deck. And he fouls off the breaking ball.
Kennedy's a guy who throws, here's Matt Harvey, throws 90, 91, 92 maybe tops. Got a good two-seamer. He throws a four-seamer outside. Good curveball. Good changeup. Just haven't found it this year.
Had the one great year in 2011 with the Diamondbacks when he won 21 games. And Tejada floats one into shallow center, and he's got himself another base hit. Ruben Tejada, revelation. 9 for his last 18.
Talk about the light bulb switching on. I mean, unbelievable. Tejada had 9 hits in his first 45 at bats. Now he's got 9 hits in the last 5 games.
Amazing. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner, and now Lucas Duda at the day off yesterday after getting plunked in the knee by David Phelps on Sunday. .394 on base percentage for Duda is 9th in the league. .539 slugging percentage, just outside the top 10. And Kennedy misses high for ball 1. These are 2 college teammates going head to head here. Duda and Kennedy played together at Southern Cal.
I found it interesting that Kennedy has hit Duda twice after being teammates.
Well, maybe they were teammates but not best friends.
That's right.
Duda 2 for 8 against Kennedy. Fouls off the changeup 1-1. They're the National League hit by pitch leaders. Duda in the top 3. Presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. (1-1) to Duda, and he hits one in the air deep down the right field line, but that will hook and go foul.
Remember, he got hit in that right knee, and that's going to affect Duda more than it will affect another hitter because he has that big high leg kick, He
didn't think it was anything substantial. I think a 6.5-hour plane flight probably didn't help after getting hit on Sunday. So took the cautious route and took yesterday off, and right back in there today as he predicted that he would be. Tejada at first and 1 out. And the curveball drilled down the line. Foul. So Duda pulling a couple of balls foul. You can see he's limping ever so slightly on that knee heading back to the plate.
So getting hit in that knee, we know Lucas, we were talking about it, has that big high leg kick with his right knee. That triggers his entire swing, so getting hit in the knee affects him more than most hitters. Missed the hanging breaking ball there by Kennedy.
Again, the 1-2. That's hit to center field. Venable over toward left center. And gets to it for the out. And back to first goes Tejada.
Well, defensively, with Will Myers out, Venables playing center field for the Padres. The Coors Light rest of the defense. Upton and Kemp on the corners. Their infield gets back a big part today. Yonder Alonso back in that lineup. He's their power left-handed bat. And Derek Norris, who's gotten off to a great start here for the Padres, doing the catching.
Norris known more as the offensive catcher, whereas the guy who played last night, Austin Hedges, clearly the better defensive catcher. Here's the raging hot Daniel Murphy, and he takes one wide. Murphy over the last 11 games hitting .452, 4 hits last night. Had a shot at his first ever 5-hit game, but he lined out to short in his final at bat. Settled for his 13th career 4-hit game. That's a bunch.
Also hitting .350 on the road is Murph.
Up to .286 for the year after a lost month of April. And Kennedy misses low with a changeup 2-0. You know, we talked about Kennedy and that great year in Arizona. He went 21-4 with a 2.88 ERA that year. Since then, the last 4 years, in 105 starts, he's 37-40 with a 4.35.
So is he that special pitcher from that year or a 500 pitcher?
The preponderance of the evidence would say the latter. It's not necessarily beyond a reasonable doubt. Here's the 2-0. Using the civil standard, not the criminal standard.
Right. Well, he's the kind of guy, he's not going to overpower you, even though he does get his strikeouts. He's got to be precise, and he has not been this year.
Well, and that's led to a lot of home runs, and that's been the case for a number of the Padre pitchers, including James Shields, who goes tomorrow night. But Kennedy's given up a ton of home runs, particularly lately. And he walks Murphy on 4 pitches, and the Mets have 2 men on.
It's so interesting to see his last 4 starts.
7 home runs in 19 innings.
Yeah, 9 walks in 19 innings. You know, we're so used to watching the Mets pitching, they don't walk anybody, that it's interesting when the other team walks someone.
The Padres staff, on the other hand, has given up the most home runs and struck out the most batters of any staff in the National League. Struck out 16 last night, but to no avail. Here's Michael Cuddyer, who had a rough night at the plate last night. Got a double his 3rd time up in the 5th inning, but struck out 3 times, including a couple in RBI situations. Slow tapper foul down to Tim Tuffle, and it's quickly 0-2 to Cuddyer.
Interesting this winter when they acquired Michael Cuddyer. What was your first question? Friend of David Wright's. How many games is he going to be able to play? It's David Wright who's not playing, and Cuddyer has played almost every day.
At age 36, still trying to find his groove, hitting at .260 for the year. Tejada at second, Murphy at first with 2 out, and Cuddyer fouls back the fastball. Wilmer Flores hitting 6th in the order, waiting on deck. Mets go into the night percentage points behind Washington. At least they did, but Washington split a doubleheader. So right now the Mets and Nats are in a flat-footed tie for first place in the National League East. Nats beat the Blue Jays this afternoon. Then Max Scherzer got beat tonight, 7-3. Here's the 0-2 coming. Hit up the middle, base hit. Tejada around third will score the first run of the game. Murphy to third. It's an RBI single for Michael Cuddyer, and once again the Mets jump in front 1-0. So Kennedy has had some rough first innings this year. Gives up an RBI hit to Cuddyer on an 0-2 pitch.
Well, we were talking last night about how it's been the Padres who have jumped out to leads in the first inning, but it's been the Mets in these first 2 games that have gotten off to the quick start. Tejada, of course, scores easily at ball in left center, and Murph goes from first to third.
So Cuddyer comes through behind in the count, and the Mets cash a first inning run. Now looking for more with Wilmer Flores. Kennedy's already had 3 starts this year where he's given up 3 or more runs in the first inning, and this is only his 9th start of the year. He missed a couple of weeks with a hamstring injury back in April, so it has been pretty much a nightmare for Kennedy as his pitching coach Darren Balsley looks on. Here's Flores, 2 for 4 last night, drove in a run. And he takes the curveball off the plate, 1-0.
Saw the catcher, Derek Norris, holding that pitch. When a catcher does that, it's almost like he's telling the umpire, this is a strike. We need it later.
Murphy at third, Cuddyer at first with 2 down, with a run already home here in the opening inning. And Flores takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Juan Lagares, who had a nice breakout kind of a night at the plate last night, waiting on deck. Hit several balls very hard, and that was good to see. He had a tough time getting it going with that rib injury. Slowly hit, but foul. You're not supposed to do that.
The Murph should never catch those balls.
We've seen that before, and that honestly is technically interference against the base runner, because that ball could come back fair before it gets to the bag.
I mean, it's not going to, but still you can't pick it up. I saw Derek Lee do that once for the Chicago Cubs. Yeah, I mean, Kennedy knows it's the wrong play. Murph.
Mr. Excitement.
No one like him.
1-2 to Flores. Fouls off the fastball.
See, now Murph is asking the third base umpire, did I do something wrong there? And the umpire is going to let him know, Murph, just leave the ball alone, will you?
You've been in the league how long? He is unique. Again, the 1-2, and Flores hits it deep to center field, but playable for Venable as he drifts back. And that retires the side. Mets cash a 2-out run on Michael Kadyr's base hit and give Noah Syndergaard an early lead. Coronado right across from San Diego. God, is that nice. Kevin Burkhardt in the house tonight.
Oh, it was great visiting with him.
Is the starting lineup for the Padres tonight. A little different look with Yonder Alonso in the middle there. He'd been out for 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. Derek Norris, who sat out last night, back in the lineup tonight and hitting second. The Padres were shut out last night for the 9th time this season and the 7th time since the start of May. And Noah Syndergaard will face them tonight.
Well, those are the numbers, but you saw a lot of left-handers in that lineup for the Padres. So far, Syndergaard's really handled them. 7 for 42 left-handers, only hit 167 off Noah.
Right-handers 275. Will Venable, left-hand hitter, leads off against Syndergaard. Venable filling in for the injured Will Myers, 0 for 4 last night, hitting 253 for the year. And Noah starts him off with a fastball away at 95 miles an hour. Now, we saw in Syndergaard's last start, and it was something that he talked about a lot after the game, about his incorporation of the two-seam fastball into his repertoire, something he really had not been throwing before.
That's that two-seamer right there, the first 2 pitches to Venable. Now, I talked to Terry Collins about this afternoon because I'm interested when you have a power pitcher like this who can throw 98 miles an hour. Is it common to introduce a two-seamer which might have a little less velocity, induce more contact this early in his career? I find it strange that he's done it, but I would think that he had to start working with it with Frank Viola in AAA. The problem with two-seamers is you have to control how much it moves. That's the problem.
Venable goes down swinging, and Syndergaard starts his night with a strikeout.
Just a nice two-seam fastball down in the strike zone. Watch this ball just run away just at the last second, which eludes the bat of Venable.
So it would seem as though in a very short period of time he's developed some firm command of that pitch.
It's almost like he's saying, against left-handed hitters, I'm going to use the two-seamer. Against right-handed hitters, I'll use the four-seamer.
Here's Derek Norris, who has some of the best offensive numbers of any catcher in the game this year, hitting at .283. And he takes a four-seamer for a strike, 98 miles an hour. Derek Norris acquired from Oakland in the offseason, and the deal sent Jesse Hahn to the A's. And Syndergaard's first curveball misses, a ball and a strike.
Ball's right down the middle. C.B. Buckner is always, I don't know how you say it. You never know.
Flip of the coin?
Yes, you never know.
He has not given up a base runner yet in the first inning in his major league career. 13 up, 13 down. Bounces that changeup, and it's 2-1.
I mean, these teams that are starting to face the Mets are probably like, I mean, they have another guy who throws 98 miles an hour.
No, DeGrom was just off the charts great last night. Struck out the first 4, retired the first 15. And that fastball missed. And now it's 3-1 to Norris.
Well, you can see how Norris has gotten off to a quick start as Justin Upton waits on deck. He's got a great command of the strike zone. Doesn't swing at too many pitches off the strike zone.
Bounces one down to third. Tejada, great stop, throwing from his knees, just a shade too late. Almost a world-beating play by Tejada, but Norris able to beat it out for an infield hit.
Well, he can't do more than Tejada did here. The range was great. He knew that he had to work quickly, so he never got up. And Norris just beat the play out. Did everything you could there to try to stop Norris from a base hit.
So there's the first base runner ever in the first inning against Noah Syndergaard. That's going to last forever. 1 out and 1 on. Now Justin Upton, 0 for 3 last night. Off to a terrific start in his first year with the Padres. 12 home runs, 37 RBIs. And Syndergaard powers a fastball in for a strike.
I was spent some time with Dick Enberg before the game, who does the play-by-play for the San Diego Padres. He described Justin Upton. He said, he's a man.
Well, the start that he's gotten off to this year, not just the home runs, but he's stealing bases. He's hitting for a good average. You know who he resembles so far this year? The young Justin Upton, who first came up with the Diamondbacks.
With the Arizona when he was 20 years old.
I mean, he's only 27. But it feels like he's had a career that has taken a lot of twists and turns. You know, they fell out of love with him in Arizona. That's how he wound up in Atlanta.
Never could figure it because, you know, you just don't have a lot of right-handed power anywhere in baseball. And Upton has legit power. When that first year with Atlanta, I think in April, every single one of his home runs was over 400 feet. I mean,
he had about 12 in April, something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, was unable to carry that through the season. But he's gotten off to a terrific first 2 months with the Padres. And the curveball strikes him out. There's that good hammer from Syndergaard for his second strikeout.
I mean, the spin that he has on this pitch is just incredible. When he first came up and I watched him pitch, he had a bigger curveball. Now it's smaller, more compact, more spin on the ball, more deceptive.
Here's Matt Kemp, 0 for 2 last night. Got ejected from the game his last time up in the 8th inning for arguing balls and strikes. His manager, Bud Black, followed him to the clubhouse. Batting here with a runner at first and 2 out. 1-0 Mets in the first. Kemp, when he was a Dodger, had a habit of just crushing the Mets. He's a lifetime .340 hitter against Met pitching. overpowered by that fastball. 1-1.
Defense behind Noah Syndergaard, presented by Lexus. Outfield, Kadar, Lagares, and Granderson. The infield that we've been talking about, Tejada, Flores, Murphy, and Duda back in there tonight with Plawecki, the rookie, doing the catching.
Kemp went around on the curveball, and it's 1-2.
Watching Kemp, remember after his season where he could have won the MVP, 39 home runs, 126 RBIs, he suffered shoulder injuries, and that really has, to me, sapped his powerful swing.
He's had a hip issue to deal with as well. It was 4 years ago. Ryan Braun beat him out for the MVP. Norris at first and 2 out. Syndergaard trying to negotiate the first inning. He has struck out a pair, and he's ahead on Kemp, 1-2. Norris runs. Kemp hits one right to the bag, which is where Murphy was going. That worked out well for Syndergaard. Murphy throws out Kemp. Inning over. An infield hit and one left. 1-0 Mets after 1. Sunset developing in San Diego, where the temperature was 72 degrees today, 66 at game time.
I did watch the news this morning. They do have meteorologists here.
Well, there is some news to report as Juan Lagares hits one through the hole, and he's got himself a leadoff hit. So Lagares, who had 2 hits last night, including a long triple, drills the first pitch through the hole into left, and the Mets have their 3rd hit.
You notice the Mets hitters, the first time through this lineup, a lot of aggressive swings against Kennedy, trying to jump on that first pitch fastball.
I was going to mention that there is weather news today here in San Diego, and you might have noticed it in the shot we showed of the sunset. There are a couple of clouds in the sky, and it's afternoon. Well, they have the marine layer that burns off in the morning, but look, actual clouds. Here's Kevin Plawecki hitting 8th in the order, and he gets tied in knots, and he went around 0-1. Plawecki 0 for 3 last night, hitting a .206.
You know, the one thing I've noticed about Plawecki, I'd like to see what guys, if they do something different than they've done their entire professional career. He just didn't strike out. He wasn't a guy who struck out. He struck out 12 times in his last 9 games. So a little overmatched so far offensively.
Curveball off the plate, 1-1.
And it makes sense, right? I mean, there's so much put on the plate of these young catchers now. Game plans and video. And
well, we saw when Travis d'Arnaud first came up 2 years ago. It took him part of that season and then into the next season before he was able to figure it out offensively. It's a good swing, and he fouls it back 1-2. I just think with Plawecki, with as close as he stands to the plate, it's natural that they're going to test him inside, as Kennedy did on that first pitch.
Yeah, he's just going to have to get to the point where he hurts a couple of pitchers inside. Then they'll go back out.
Lagares at first and nobody out. Syndergaard waiting on deck with his thunder stick. And that changeup misses. 2-2. He had one of the best hitting days any Met pitcher's ever had.
I was jealous. It was a fantastic day.
A lot of other people were too. There were position players sitting in that dugout who were a little jealous after he hit that home run at Citi Field. 2-2 coming to Plawecki, and it's on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Funny part about that, Plawecki was walking toward first base like it was ball 4, but it would have been only ball 3. And as it was, C.B. Buckner called it strike 3.
Opened up that strike zone just a little bit there against Plawecki.
First strikeout for Kennedy, and now here's Syndergaard. 3 for 3 and a 430-foot home run in his last start. See if he's called upon to bunt here with 1 on and 1 out. He does have 1 sacrifice to go with his 4 hits. Middlebrooks at third, playing like he's not sure. He's seen the scouting reports. And sure enough, he's set to swing and takes a strike.
Well, you're going to let him swing because of what he did. You talked about last game. And tremendous pop in his bat.
Longest home run by a pitcher since Carlos Zambrano was wielding his bat for the Cubs. Lagares at first and 1 out. He's running, and Syndergaard swings and misses. Norris's throw got him. Close play, and Marista tags out Lagares for the second out.
Well, I thought there for a second, good changeup from Kennedy. You're running the runner with a pitcher up at bat. That's a lot of confidence. And a good tag there by Amaristo, who got his foot right in front of that bag. Made it difficult for Lagares to get through there.
Norris has thrown out 17 runners this year, in part because teams have been running consistently against the Padres. Now Syndergaard takes a curveball inside. One and 2 to Noah, and he stood up by that fastball. 2-2. We're talking about stolen bases against the Padres. Tyson Ross, in a third of a season, has given up 21 stolen bases.
You're on a pace for 60.
I don't know what the record is for a pitcher giving up steals, but that's unbelievable. And Syndergaard strikes out on the curveball, and that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the second. 2 strikeouts for Kennedy, still 1-0 New York. No, what's Tuesday?
It's Tump Gary night. Here's your question this week. Which 3 pitchers have saved 100-plus games for the Padres?
Wait a second. Hold on. This is not what I signed up for.
You're not even getting Mets trivia.
These are supposed to be Mets questions. 100 saves for the Padres?
Hang with them.
Well, one of them is easy.
Yeah.
It's Trevor Hoffman. Randy Myers,
okay,
I would think is a second. And Keith Bell.
Oh, Keith Bell. Huh.
There's Trevor's number. So is part of the question here that 2 of the 3 of them pitch for the Mets?
I guess so.
Yonder Alonso takes outside for ball 1.
See, I didn't think it was Heath Bell.
You don't think he was around for 100?
I didn't think he was around long enough.
There's Glenn Hoffman,
yep,
Trevor's older brother, coaching third. Alonso floats one down the left field line, and that falls fair for a base hit. Dyer digs it out along the sidewall and holds him to a single. So Alonso, first at bat back from the disabled list, coming back from 4 weeks on the sidelines with a shoulder injury, has himself an opposite field hit.
Well, he's had a hard time staying healthy, but when he's on the field, he's an awfully good hitter.
Started the night hitting .333 through 87 at bats this season. So a runner at first and nobody out. Now Will Middlebrooks, the third baseman. Middlebrooks 1 for 3 last night. Had an infield hit his last time up. One of only 2 hits given up by Jacob deGrom last night.
Was Goose here long enough?
Yeah, that could be the answer. Goose Gossage. Well, Hoffman, I know, is right.
Yeah.
Come on.
This is just what I love right about this is that you really don't care about this question.
No, I don't. It does not. It does not affect my credibility one way or the other. Now you know that Howie and I are doing this beat the booth thing against fans.
That's right.
And we're going to be taping it soon and be playing sometime this summer on SNY. And I'm totally convinced we're going to get completely embarrassed because there are 4 fans somewhere who are just, gobbling up every piece of information. That'll be ready to go when they hit the stage.
I can't wait to see it.
But that question does not prep me.
No.
Because there are not going to be Padres questions.
Well, that's what we should be doing on Stump Gary nights is we should be prepping you for your beat the booth.
The problem is that if you publicly prep me and Howie for that, then they'll never use this question.
I want to know, I'll ask him tomorrow, I want to know if Howie's going to whine like he did last year when he got beat. If it happens.
He was very whiny.
He was.
That's very true. But he felt as though he had the home field advantage.
Well, he didn't appreciate the Mel Stottlemyre question.
It's the way it goes. You guys played. What are they going to do this year? That's lined into center field, and Middlebrooks has a base hit. All of a sudden, Syndergaard has some trouble here in the second. Back-to-back base hits by Alonso and Middlebrooks, and the Padres have a couple of men on.
Pretty good placement of this fastball down and away, just better hitting, one-handed hitting by Middlebrooks. I mean, that ball is knees or lower, outside corner, and just flicks at it.
So first and second and nobody out. Now the number 7 hitter, Corey Spangenberg. He hit second yesterday and went 0 for 3. And drops down a bunt. Lerecki out to field it, has to hurry. No way. Spangenberg, one of the fastest men in baseball, beats it out for a bunt hit. And the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Well, interesting play by your 7th hitter to lay down a bunt here. But that's part of his game, Spangenberg, so he's got to do it. Great speed. Watch him run. Head down. Made it look easy.
And didn't even, run up. He squared like it was a sacrifice, and he still beat it out easily. So bases loaded, nobody out, and a real test for Syndergaard here in the second. The number 8 hitter, Alexi Amarista. 0 for 1 last night as a pinch hitter. And Syndergaard misses low and away ball 1. Well, here you get to the point where Syndergaard has been playing around with a 2-seamer. Needs to be in strikeout mode.
Well, I think what you try to think through, sometimes it's hard when you're a young pitcher. You just get in panic mode when the bases are loaded and nobody's out. But what you try to tell yourself as you get more experience, hey, all I got to do is get this hitter out. If I get the 8th hitter out, pitcher's going to make an out, and I can get through this inning. So this is how you think to get through tough situations.
Alonso, Middlebrooks, and Spangenberg, the base runners, with nobody out. And Amarista fouls off the fastball at 98 miles an hour. Pitcher Kennedy on deck.
That good hard breaking ball in the dirt is the pitch probably wants to throw here, or kind of a neck high fastball, one or the other.
One, two, and he fouls it away. Syndergaard has struck out 2 tonight. Struck out 6 over 7 1/3 in his last start against the Phillies. One-two to Amarista. Breaking ball wide off Syndergaard's glove and into right field. It'll bring home 2 runs. Alonso scores. Middlebrooks right behind him, and the Padres go in front 2-1.
That ball was hit off the end of the bat. If that did not touch Syndergaard, I think that ball would have been right at Murphy.
It definitely appeared to fool Noah.
Let's see if Murph would have had that play. Maybe not. I shouldn't say that. But after the deflection, easy 2 runs for the Padres. Two runs easily scored. And first to third, of course, Spangenberg.
Can you describe what that's like as a pitcher? Because it looked as though that ball, because it wasn't hit that hard, confused Syndergaard.
What happens, it's like a changeup coming at you, is that you're expecting that real hard one. Remember the ball that DeGrom caught last night that was hit pretty hard? That's what you're expecting. So you put your glove up thinking that the ball is going to come in it, and then it's a changeup, so by the time it gets there, it's almost like you put your glove up too early.
So 4 straight hits for the Padres, including a bunt single and that deflection off Syndergaard's glove. Now first and third and nobody out with 2 runs in. And he and Kennedy will bat. Kennedy 1 hit, no sacrifices this year.
Well, he'll be bunting here. You got to watch the runner on third. Spangenberg's got great speed. This could turn into one of those safety squeeze situations.
Good speed at first as well with Amarista. And Kennedy gets the bunt down. Duda will field it. The runner holds at third, and they get the out at first. So it's a sacrifice. 3-4, moving Amarista to second. And Tejada did a good job there. And inexperienced third baseman that understood the play was behind him.
Well, just nice bunting by Kennedy. Moved up in the box, got that bat in fair territory. Spangenberg walked in with Tejada, but when Tejada got back, he had to go back.
So now a big batter coming up for Syndergaard. 1 out, second and third. The infield's back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball as Will Venable steps in. Noah struck him out his first time up. And Venable fouls off the fastball. Well, how about the major league debut tonight of Joey Gallo in Texas? Single, double, homer, 4 RBIs.
Wow.
Texas 15, White Sox 2.
Texas offense been unbelievable. Prince Fielder.
Venable gets tied up, but it's inside 1-1. And you were showing me a picture of a young Joey Gallo.
It's Joey Gallo and Bryce Harper in Little League. Can you imagine them on the same team?
And Chris Bryant was on that team too, right?
I mean, there's a lot of kids going home crying.
One and two to Venable. Now Syndergaard certainly in need of a strikeout here. Derek Norris waiting on deck. 1-2 to Venable. Curveball pulled over the bag. That's a fair ball, and that'll bring home 2 more runs. Spangenberg is in. Amarista right behind him. Venable trying for 3, and he'll make it safely with a 2-run triple. And it's 4-1 San Diego.
Well, Syndergaard's been beat in this inning by 2 curveballs. One to Amarista that went off his glove and produced 2 runs, and here another one that Venable keeps just fair past Duda down the line.
Second triple of the year for Venable. A 4-run inning for the Padres and still only 1 out. And now the Mets have to bring the infield in with Derek Norris at the plate. Norris had an infield hit his first time up. And the first pitch curveball in for a strike.
People always talk about the ability to throw your breaking ball for strikes. You also have to be able to throw your breaking balls for balls. When you're ahead in the count 1-2, you got to be able to bounce it. He was able to bounce it to Amarista and Venable. Might have had a different outcome in this inning.
Finds the outside corner and gets ahead on Norris 0-2. That's a unique shot.
Nice.
Struck him out on a high fastball, so Syndergaard picks up his 3rd strikeout and pins Venable at 3rd. Now 2 out.
Well, good pitching there. We talked about it, right? If you get ahead, go out of the strike zone to get a strikeout. And that's what he did there against Norris.
So now 2 out, and Justin Upton will be the 8th man up in the inning. Upton struck out his first time up.
I'd be personally very careful with Justin Upton, the way I've seen Matt Kemp swing the bat as opposed to Upton.
Justin Upton picking a very good time to have a good year. He'll be a free agent at age 28 when the season is over. 1-year rental for the Padres. And as you know, often happens, there's already been talk here in San Diego, because the Padres are not off to a great start. They're 3 games under 500, about whether the Padres are going to trade Upton before the trading deadline. But I think the Padres have every plan to be in the race this summer. They were built very quickly to win very quickly.
Well, their offense last year was historically bad, so they needed to get better quickly. And the acquisition of Upton does not hurt.
Brought in Upton, brought in Norris, brought in Kemp. And to help their pitching, brought in James Shields, which doesn't hurt either. It just hasn't quite worked out for them yet. They brought in Kimbrel right before the season to be their closer.
It's interesting, right? Melvin Upton was about the same age when he became a free agent and signed that big contract with Atlanta.
Very different players, though. 3-2 to Upton.
I saw, I want to say BJ, but I saw Melvin.
He was BJ then.
Okay. In 2008 in the postseason, he had one of the greatest postseasons I've ever seen.
th pitch of the inning coming up for Syndergaard. 3-2 to Upton, and the curveball got him to retire the side. 4th strikeout for Noah, but the Padres put up a 4 spot in the 2nd inning. 4-1 San 2014 to 2015, quite a difference.
Well, I think one of the issues for this ball club, we saw Spangenberg with that nice base hit playing second base. Jerko was supposed to be a real great player and really went backwards last year.
Curtis Granderson takes a strike as we start the third. Ian Kennedy now staked to a 3-run lead. Granderson lined out to right field to open the ball game. Tejada and Duda to follow. Second time around the batting order for Kennedy, who's given up 3 hits and a walk. And he crowds Granderson, and C.B. Buckner calls that a strike. And it's 0-2.
Whenever I think of C.B. Buckner behind the plate, he's got kind of a floating strike zone. Moves around a little bit. That ball's inside.
And the changeup strikes out Granderson. That's 3 in a row for Kennedy. 1 down in the third.
If Curtis Granderson was a hockey player, he'd be a Lady Bing winner. Wouldn't he?
Very good. Stan Mikita.
That's right.
Here's Tejada, who singled to center and scored the Mets' run in the first. 9 hits in his last 18 at bats. As he continues to reascend on the pecking order. What was it Terry Collins said yesterday? He's got to reestablish himself as a major leaguer. And given so many chances and handed them back, and now just in the last 5 days, it's almost as though a light bulb has gone off. Now the question is, can he make that last?
Reestablish himself as an everyday major league player as opposed to just a bench guy, fill in.
Lucas Duda waiting on deck. Kennedy's curveball slips outside, 1-2. Kennedy has struck out 3 tonight. Last night the Mets struck out 16 times against Andrew Kashner and company. The 3rd time in Mets history they had struck out that many times and won a game. Slowly hit, and Spangenberg is there to play it.
2 out. Okay, what 3 pitchers? Gary saved 100 games for the Padres. You said Hoffman.
I gave you Hoffman, Myers, and Bell.
Okay, let's see who we got.
Raleigh Fingers.
Oh, okay. Heath Bell you had, though.
Randy had 52 saves one year for the Padres, didn't he?
Randall K.
Hard for him not to get to 100. I guess they made him a starter after that, and he didn't have a chance to get to 100. Lucas Duda takes outside. By the way, mention those 3 games the Mets have won when they struck out 16 times. The other 2 are memorable. Everybody remembers the Steve Carlton game, or at least they've heard of it, from 1969 when Carlton set the record with 19 and the Mets beat him on a couple of Ron Swoboda home runs. But the other one was in 2005. Remember, Willie Randolph took over as manager, and the Mets started on the road and lost the first 5 games of the season.
Was that the Smoltz game?
Right. Smoltz struck out 15, and the Mets struck out 18. Went up against Pedro in that game, and Carlos Beltran hit a home run, turned the game around late, and the Mets won it despite striking out 18 times. And that was their first win of the year, and their only win on that first road trip. If they hadn't rallied to win, they would have gone home 0-6 to start the home season with a new manager.
Is that where they opened up in Cincinnati?
Right, and Braden Looper gave a couple of home runs in the 9th on opening day. And Mike Piazza had given Willie a cigar that he was to light up for the first win, and it sat in his desk drawer for almost a week. Okay, the home office is correcting my memory about Randy Myers. He had his big save here with the Cubs.
Okay.
Only saved 38 as a Padre. So there you go. 3-2 to Duda, and it's inside ball 4. And so Kennedy issues his second walk of the night, and the Mets have a 2-out base run.
Walk Duda to get to the Mets' hottest hitter.
So now that we've expanded this, stumping thing to include other teams. How far is this going to go?
I don't know. It might be different sports by next Tuesday.
Just want to know I don't do lacrosse. Murphy takes up and away. I like watching lacrosse, but I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah.
It's funny how games like that become very regional. Like if you grew up in Long Island, you probably play lacrosse as much as you'd play football.
Well, one of my daughters played a year of field hockey in high school, and you know, it's very exciting to watch, but had no idea what was happening.
I think so.
You can't use the back of the stick, really? What's the sense in that? Murphy walked his first time up after his 4-hit game last night that included a 2-run homer, his 4th of the year. Batting here with Duda at first and 2 out. And Kennedy being very careful with Murphy. Which would probably be the wise thing right now, because Murphy is in one of those grooves.
Seen Kennedy so far in this game behind in the count, likes to go to that changeup against the left-handed hitters.
Murphy hits one out to center field. Plenty of room for Venable. And that retires the side. So after getting the lead, Kennedy retires the Mets without a run. 4-1 San Diego. Tomorrow's Mets Padres finale here at Petco Park, plus all the latest New York sports news on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY. Well, Noah Syndergaard getting cuffed around tonight in a way that we have not seen early in a game before.
So we'll see how he reacts here. He's obviously got pretty good stuff. He's got 4 Ks in the game, but you know, we'll see how he reacts here. If you're pitching, you've got to hold them here now. Give your team a chance to come back.
Matt Kemp leads off in the 3rd. Grounded out his first time up. And takes a curveball for a strike. Kemp, Alonso, and Middlebrooks after the Padres sent 8 men to the plate and scored 4 runs on 5 hits in the 2nd inning.
One thing I noticed with Syndergaard early in this game, Milwaukee has not called any fastballs in on the right-handed or left-handed hitters. Really just using half of the plate.
Check swing, and Kemp went around, and he's a strikeout victim. That's 3 in a row now for Syndergaard. His 5th of the night. 1 out in the 3rd. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Yonder Alonso, who singled to left and scored a run in that 4-run 4th inning, got the whole thing started. Alonso is now 28. Came out of University of Miami, 1st-round draft pick by the Reds, and he has been hurt virtually his entire career. Smacks another one in the hole, a base hit. So 2 at-bats, 2 opposite field hits for Alonso in his first game off the disabled list. He can hit.
When you think of him, they thought he was going to provide a lot of power. They know he could hit. Like you said, though, Gary, hard time staying in the lineup.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Will Middlebrooks. He singled to center field and scored a run. So it comes to mind that this is not a great stopping off point for young Met pitchers. San Diego was the site of Matt Harvey's 3rd major league start in 2012, and it was his first poor start.
He ended up giving him, what, 5 or 6 runs that game?
5 runs, 8 hits over 5 innings. 7-3 loss. Maybe it's just too nice a place.
No. Those starts are like just to prove that they're human. They have those kind of starts. You learn a lot about a pitcher, though, especially young pitchers, when they have this kind of game where everything isn't going right.
Well, we certainly discovered after the 4-run 2nd inning that Noah has got the primal scream in him.
He did. Well, that's the best way to do it. Just yell in your glove as loud as you want. I used to do it in games like that when I was backing up bases, try to get it out of your system.
Pulled and just foul outside there. You know who was the best at that, and he didn't ever really hide his emotions very much, but Al Leiter. When he gave up a hit, he would be moaning and screaming to himself and engaging in the histrionics as he went to back up 3rd or back up home. Trying to use body English.
That's right.
He was fun to watch. And he's still the same way now, by the way. Swing and a foul tip held by Plawecki, and Middlebrooks is a strikeout victim. That's 6 now for Syndergaard, 2 down in the 3rd.
Just a beautiful fastball, almost a little bit of a cutting action on his ball as it works away from Middlebrooks.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Don't miss a moment of Mets baseball on the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network, only from Verizon. So 2 out, a runner at first, and now Corey Spangenberg will lay down a bunt hit his first time up. And he drives one down the left field line, just foul.
It was interesting. Yonder Alonso was trying to time Syndergaard. He almost took off there.
We saw Derek Norris taking off in the first inning, a guy you wouldn't expect to be stealing a base.
Well, the advanced scouts have had to tell the teams that the one area that Syndergaard has to work on is holding base runners. He takes a long time to deliver the ball to the plate.
He's given up 2 stolen bases in his first 4 starts. And Spangenberg laces that one down the line, and that'll stay fair, and it beats Kadire and goes down to the corner. Alonso to 3rd. He's being waved home, and he's going to make it without a throw. Spangenberg to 3rd. The tag, and he's out. Did the run count? It does not count. Alonso did not cross the plate before the 3rd out was made at 3rd base, and it wipes the run off the board. It's a double for Spangenberg. He's thrown out on the relay, and Alonso fails to cross the plate in time.
Well, just the little things here of getting this ball to Tejada at 3rd base, applying the tag, and he's out before he touches home plate. That's just bad non-hustle by Alonso.
Well, we'll have to wait to see if Bud Black is going to challenge this, because he might have been safe at third. I don't think he was. Spangenberg appeared to get his foot to the bag before Tejada put on the tag, and they're going to go to the gym bag.
Wow, that's going to be interesting. I mean, the tag was too late. It was high and it was late.
The third base umpire is Dan Iasonia, and he was right there, but he did not appear to make the right call.
The ball bounced. Whenever it bounces, it always takes the glove up before you can bring it down. And Tejada, before he got it there, you can see the foot is on the bag.
Clearly on. Now the question is, did it come off at any point? I don't think it did. If you keep that rolling, that would be the only way that they would uphold the call. Now Black, I think what C.B. Buckner is asking him is what part of the play he wants to review. Whether he wants to review whether Alonso touched the plate first, or he wants to appeal the call at third.
Well, he just should appeal the play at third, because if the play is wrong at third base, which we think it is, that will make Alonso run score.
Exactly, but he might have initially gone to the umpire and said, I want to challenge whether he crossed the plate first. Spangenberg did not come off, so he clearly is safe, and they just overturned the call, so that's going to put a run on the board for San Diego. It'll be a triple for Spangenberg and an RBI, and it'll make it 5-1 Padres. Dyer tried to cut that ball off along the line, and it just beat him. And then rattled around in the corner, and Spangenberg has such great speed, able to leg that into his second triple.
Well, what I found interesting here is that I thought that Dyer would play that a little more conservative, because Alonso really can't run. If he had just gone right to the corner, it would have been second and third.
Here's Alexi Amarista, and he thinks about the 2-out bunt and takes a strike. And one other thing to consider, remember that the grass there has been beaten down because of concerts that they've had in this venue, and you wonder whether that had any impact.
I mean, it looked like it was cement it landed on.
Two strikeouts. Amarista, who was behind in the count his last time up when he banked one off Syndergaard's glove. It sailed into right field as 2 runs came home. Oh, 2 from Syndergaard, and it's upstairs.
You know what I'm saying about outfield play, though? You always try to cut the ball off if you can, but know who the runner is. If he's not a fast runner, then all you have to do is play it off the wall. It'll be second and third.
And the curveball gets him looking. 3 strikeouts in the inning, 7 on the night for Syndergaard, but he yields another run. Corey Spangenberg with the RBI triple to make it 5-1 San Diego after 3. It's Taco Tuesday.
Nice.
Let's go, Mets!
Eating on the run.
Well, at least he's enjoying the taco. Well, Syndergaard not enjoying his night so far. 5 runs, 8 hits allowed in the first 3 innings. Michael Kadire is driven in the only Mets run. He'll lead off in the 4th against Ian Kennedy, who is rather desperate for a win right now and now finds himself with a 4-run lead.
Interesting, no jacket for Syndergaard. Always gets a little cool here at night. Relative.
Not as cool as it was in New York today. People told me it was like the middle of March.
They said it was 48 at Fenway Park in Boston tonight at the start of the game.
Well, we'll be heading to Phoenix after the game tomorrow night.
More than double that.
The temperature's supposed to be a little more reasonable, like low 90s one of the days.
I'll never forget the one year we went to Arizona. I think it was in August, where the hotel we stayed in, they closed most of the hotel. We stayed in just a small part of it.
Well, who goes to Phoenix when it's 120? 1-2 to Kadire, who had a 2-out hit his first time, and he's got another 2-strike hit. So on 0-2, he got a base hit the first time up, and on 1-2, he pokes one through the right side this time.
Well, Alonso at first base does not cover a lot of ground.
He also may still be exhausted from that run home.
That's right.
So the Mets have their 4th hit against Kennedy. And now Wilmer Flores, who flied to center his first time up. So the Rockies look like they're on the verge of sweeping a doubleheader from the Dodgers. In the second game, the Dodgers had a 4-0 lead early, but Coors Field, you know.
Peterson hit a home run. Adrian Gonzalez hit a home run.
Jock Peterson hit a 480-foot home run. And I know it's Coors Field, but that's crazy. Flores gets into one, but Upton is right there waiting for it. And that's the first down of the inning. It's the best online source for Mets information with a constant flow of Mets news and opinion featuring game breakdowns, special features, and player profiles. Mets blog presented by Citi, part of the SNY.TV blog network. 1 out and 1 on. Juan Lagares, who pulled a base hit through the hole his first time up. So Lagares now 5 for 12 over the last 4 games as he starts to feel a little better. Kadire at first and 1 out. And Lagares takes a strike. Padres are 3 games under 500, maybe because they've underperformed, but maybe also because they've played mostly teams with winning records.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It's a tough schedule coming out of the gate, but it doesn't get any easier. You got to play the Giants and the Dodgers many more times.
Well, conversely, they'll get more games with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies coming up. And Lagares out on 3 pitches. So Kennedy picks up his 4th strikeout. There are 2 down.
Well, first time up, Lagares hit the first fastball for a hit. This time he just saw all breaking pitches and change-ups from Kennedy.
So 2 out. Kadire still at first. And now Kevin Plawecki went down looking his first time up. Ian Kennedy, his last 4 starts, 0-4, 9.31. Gave up a run in the first inning tonight. Has had base runners in every inning, but working now with a 4-run lead. And the first pitch curveball strike to Plawecki.
Well, he came out of the gate to this evening a little rusty, but his breaking ball has gotten better as the game's gone along.
Noah Syndergaard would be next. And Plawecki lines one, but right at Spangenberg, and that ends the inning. Leadoff hit. Kadir stranded. Middle of the fourth, 5-1 Padres. And the Mets down 5-1. Well, if you missed it earlier today, David Wright made an appearance in the Mets clubhouse and provided one and all with as much update as he could about exactly what is going on with his back, the spinal stenosis condition, which I guess he discovered is a congenital condition. He's had it, wasn't really aware of it. It was interesting talking to David about that and how much he realized there was something wrong with his back. And he says it goes back to when he had that fracture in his back a few years ago. He said from that point on, it was always something that was there. And when they talk about the treatment for the spinal stenosis, that fracture is a factor because there's some scar tissue that's built up in there. The spinal stenosis is a narrowing of the spinal canal. And so the remnants of that injury certainly exacerbate the problem.
Well, of course, and also he played with that fracture in his back for a long time, and that really was part of the problem that he has now.
Ian Kennedy leading off in the home fourth inning, and Syndergaard misses high 2-2.
I said before the game, it's just, you know, one of the reasons he signed back with the Mets is he wanted to be part of this when it turned, and it's starting to turn, and they're doing it without him.
Syndergaard picks up another strikeout. Well, it's very confusing what's going on with David right now, and he tried to provide some clarity exactly what he's going through in his rehab.
Too young for the surgery option. That, you know, whatever we do, you know, we want to avoid you know, having that type of surgery at 32. You know, it's different if you know, you're older, you know, not having to move around and you know, try to perform at this level. You know, having that surgery is completely different than a 32-year-old going in, you know, for that surgery and solving the problem. So, you know, we're at the stage now where you know, we come in once a week, we meet, you know, we go over. You know, I have to be as honest as I possibly can. The therapist gives his report. You know, there's a weekly report that the therapist gives the doctor. We go over it. We talk. As a group, we talk. You know, and we kind of come up with a plan for, you know, for that particular week. And, you know, therapy Monday through Sunday, see the doctor on Monday, come up with the next plan.
And when you hear that and the progression that he's going through right now as the doctors try and figure out from week to week what the plan is going to be, you understand that he is a significant ways away from being able to even consider doing anything baseball related.
You know, I said it in the pregame. It was so raw and emotional when he was talking to all the reporters today that, you know, there comes a time in your life where, you know, that baseball mortality starts to come in, and I think he's feeling a lot of that. You know, I mean, one of the things that makes David Wright so special was that he's a blue collar guy. He's out there every day, plays hard, all of those things. And you know what? From the people I've talked to, even this season before the 14th, there was a lot of work that he would have to do before he would play in games to get himself loose and ready to go.
Venable dives back in after he picks up his second hit of the night.
I mean, we're starting to find out again that, like it used to be, at 35 years old is usually the end of most careers. And they're very special if you can make it to 40.
Well, it was interesting what David said right at the beginning of that soundbite. You know, everybody who heard about this diagnosis a couple of weeks ago went straight to Google or WebMD or whatever, you know, whatever website they could to try and learn more about spinal stenosis. And David even acknowledged that when he first read what the outcomes could be, it scared him because it could be a career-ending injury. Now, the doctors are telling him that they believe that with the therapies that he's undergoing right now, that he can get back on the field and be effective and do it this year. That remains to be seen. But, you know, it's a scary prospect because nobody really knows for sure. Time called before the pitch was thrown.
Well, isn't that the problem? The problem is that, you know, if you have a hamstring or you break a hand or whatever, there's a timetable that you know when you're going to come back. No timetable for David.
Well, and the other piece about this is a condition. This is not an injury. It's something that he's had for a long time. It's been exacerbated by the injury he suffered a few years ago and by the wear and tear of playing for, you know, the last however many years he's been playing baseball. This is not just about coming back from the injury as the Mets get the bullpen going and Jack Leathersich starts to throw. This is about something he's going to have to manage for the rest of his career and the rest of his life.
Yeah, this is a quality of life issue.
As he said, it's not just about playing baseball, it's about walking and standing up. He said the nature of the condition is such that standing up straight is the thing that makes it hurt the worst. So no swing that time by Norris, and it's 1-2.
David, you know, when you think about his swing, it's so much torque he puts on his back when he swings.
Well, what about playing third base and diving?
And bending over 150 times a game.
Well, David said that every week the doctors have certain tests that they give him to see whether he's made progression and whether he can get to the next level. And he said, I'm just not passing those tests yet. He said there's been a little progression each week, but not enough. Runner goes. Norris hits it deep to left field. Back goes Kadire to the track. Back at the wall, and it's out of here. Derek Norris with a 2-run homer, his 5th of the year. And Syndergaard has had the night come crashing down. 7-1 San Diego. With the second home run Syndergaard's allowed in the big leagues.
Well, I'd have to say Norris has been probably the best surprise of all the acquisitions this winter by A.J. Preller. Lots of RBIs. That's his 5th home run. Hitting for a high average. And he didn't miss this hanging breaking ball. Such a short, compact swing.
Now, Norris was an all-star last year in Oakland, but he hit only 10 home runs all year. He's already halfway there on the 2nd of June. So a very rough night at the office for Noah Syndergaard. Now Justin Upton, whom he struck out twice, and he fouls it back. Noah's now given up 7 runs and 10 hits tonight.
He's having an Andrew Kashner kind of night, isn't he? Lots of strikeouts, lots of hits, lots of runs.
Well, he's given up 10 hits and gotten 8 strikeouts. Kashner last night, 11 hits, 12 strikeouts. It got taken out before the 5th inning was over. And turned out nobody had ever done that before. Given up double-digit hits, gotten double-digit strikeouts, and not gone 5 innings. Syndergaard certainly does not want to match that.
No.
He hasn't even gotten out of the 4th yet. 1-2 to Upton, and he bounces the breaking ball. 2-2.
You know, the final thing I'll say about David, Gary, you with Keith and I all the time. There's no free pass for a career played. He limps a little, I limp a little. It's things that it's the cost of playing for a long time. And Keith's in a sling right now, trying to recover.
And he's got more to come.
Yep.
Three-two to Upton, and he takes call third strike. Third time Upton's been struck out tonight, and that's 9 now for Syndergaard. 2 out and nobody on. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Guys, Justin Upton from the same hometown as David Wright and Michael Kadire, and his connection with Kadire goes a little bit beyond just being from the same hometown, though. Kadire's wife, Claudia, before she knew Michael, she was actually Justin Upton's 10th grade English teacher, and he was he was pretty close with Claudia, and he said to her when he was in 10th grade, when I make my first $1 million, I'm going to buy you a car. He has not followed through on that, something that Michael Kadire continues to remind Justin. And Justin said, well, I didn't know she was going to marry you when I made that deal. To which Kadire responds, I don't care if she married Donald Trump. A deal's a deal.
That's great. Of course, Kadire was the oldest of all of those players to come out of the Hampton Roads area, followed by BJ and his younger brother Justin and David Wright and Ryan Zimmerman and all those guys who have come out of that area.
Mark Reynolds.
Matt Kemp is fooled, and it's 1-2. Justin on those travel teams that Wright and Zimmerman and those guys played on. Justin was the bat boy.
That's funny. No bat boy now. Bad boy, maybe.
Maybe the best of them all. Swing and a miss. Kemp is down on strikes. That's 10 strikeouts for Syndergaard. Most he's ever had in a big league game, but for naught so far. He's down 7-1 as they go to the 5th. By T-Mobile. Well, for Noah Syndergaard tonight, 10 strikeouts and no walks, which only helps the Met pitching staff strikeout to walk ratio, which is the best in history so far this season, better than 4-1. And just for reference, the Mets' best ever strikeout to walk ratio for a full season was 2.74 to 1. 2.74, and it's at 4.06 this year.
Well, they're all happening too in the last few seasons as the strikeouts have gone up for the hitters. What has happened to smart young pitchers? They figured out that some offenses are trying to work the count, and they're like, I'm not going to work the count. First pitch is going to be a strike.
So strikeouts keep going up, walks keep going down. Danny Muno batting for Noah Syndergaard, and we have one of the great statistical aberrations in the history of baseball in this series. We talked about Andrew Cashner last night. Double-digit hits allowed, double-digit strikeouts, failed to go 5 innings. It had never happened since 1900. It's now happened twice in 2 nights in the same series.
That's crazy.
Syndergaard has struck out 10, given up 10 hits, and he will go only 4 innings tonight. Now, how crazy is that?
It's crazy.
Muno down on strikes, 5 strikeouts for Ian Kennedy, 1 down in the 5th.
And the reason I say that is when you have a big strikeout night, when it used to have it, a big strikeout night, those are your best games. They're always your best games. But now, because the strikeouts are so prevalent, sometimes you have a bad game and strike out 10.
I still go back to it hadn't happened in 115 years, and it's happened twice in 2 days in the same series. How is that even possible?
I'm afraid for tomorrow.
Here's Granderson, who's lined out to right and struck out 0 for 2. And he gets jammed and fouls it back. Well, meanwhile, Ian Kennedy is living large. A guy who has struggled so mightily and finds himself 6 runs to the good in this game. Are we working with a blimp tonight?
I'll tell you, that field doesn't look very good from that shot.
Somebody asked whether it was because of California water restrictions. The answer is no. It's only rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it.
Yeah, but if you'd been here for the concert with Mick and Keith and the gang, you probably would not care so much about the outfield.
Charlie Watts is my guy.
Charlie Watts believed in Gray before Gray was fashioned.
That's right. I saw the Stones about 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't really want to go, but I said, I'll go. And they were great. They were still fantastic.
Granderson strikes out. That's 6 now for Kennedy. Second time he's gotten Granderson. 2 out in the top of the 5th. Well, there's city probables for tomorrow. Dylan G back from the groin injury that gave Noah Syndergaard his chance in the major leagues as the Mets kick into their 6-man rotation. And he'll be opposed by James Shields, who, despite not pitching great, is 6-0 on the season. And Dylan chomping at the bit. So it's been the weirdest year of his baseball life. And that certainly is the case, and the next chapter begins tomorrow.
Well, I think that covers also this past winter when he had to, endure trade talks concerning himself almost daily.
Then put in the bullpen in the spring, and then when Zach Wheeler went down, put back in the rotation, and then left dangling at the end of spring in competition with Montero. Then in the rotation.
Injured.
Then the possibility that he wouldn't go back in the rotation, then sent out for a second rehab start that he didn't feel he needed, etc., etc. Too hot at Tejada. Ruben 1 for 2 tonight.
Being the reason that they're going to a 6-man rotation, but not everybody's happy with that.
Well, it's given them an opportunity to do something that they were going to have to do something about somehow, which is limit the young pitchers' innings, particularly Matt Harvey. Tejada strikes out on the changeup, and Kennedy strikes out the side of the 5th. Strikeouts flowing like water. Halfway through, Padres 7, Mets 1. Presenting Mets games in crystal clear HD. By Mazda, KellyBlueBook.com's lowest cost to own brand over 5 years. And by State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the game is Brian Levitt of Park Slope. Contact Brian at WeInsureNewYork.com. Jack Leathersich will pitch the bottom of the 5th for New York.
Try to give the Mets a couple of innings of relief work here. See his numbers. Only 6 innings of work so far.
His last outing was a 1-batter assignment. He struck out Ichiro Suzuki on Saturday. Yonder Alonso leads off. Alonso, first game back from the disabled list after 4 weeks away, saw 3 pitches from Noah Syndergaard and got 2 hits. That's the way to come back. Will Middlebrooks on deck. Have the Mets had anybody come back from the disabled list this year, or is Dylan G going to be the first?
I think he's going to be the first. Not only have they got guys that have gone on the DL, they've gotten other injuries while they're rehabbing different injuries.
Line to center, and Alonso's got his 3rd hit of the night. That's amazing. 4 weeks on the sideline, 6 pitches, 3 hits. So the Padres, who got shut out last night on 2 hits, have their 11th hit of this game. And now Will Middlebrooks, who has singled and struck out. So Noah Syndergaard went 4 innings through 84 pitches, gave up 7 runs and 10 hits, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. His first career double-digit strikeout game, and one he'd rather forget. Remember your first really bad one?
My first, it was in 1983. I was September call-up, and 4 of the 5 games were very good, but one was not very good, and I believe it was the Cubs at Shea Stadium, and I left a few boos that day. That was my first Shea boos.
And do you remember how you handled it, and how you internalized it, or how you dealt with it?
Well, I was lucky because I knew I was going to get 5 starts in September, so it was my 3rd start. So I knew I was going to get the ball again. I think what would have been really tough is if I had been pitching from start to start and not knowing if I was going to get another chance.
lifted foul. Well, similar to Syndergaard, because he knows he's not getting pulled from the rotation after one bad start.
But you usually handle it. I remember handling it like you expect every young guy to handle it. You're stunned. You can't believe it. How could they hit me so hard? You know, and you tend to give yourself too much. Not give yourself, but take too much credit when you have a great game and get too much blame to yourself when you have a bad game. You know, a couple pitches here and there could have been different.
Middlebrooks tries to hold, and apparently did. 2-2. Well, this is one of the downsides, right, of the six-man rotation, is that instead of having 4 days to stew, Syndergaard will have 5.
The hard part for me personally when I look at the six-man rotation is that a couple of things. One, you're not going to be pitching in a game, but pitchers, they pitch. They like to throw the ball, and they're going to be throwing twice in between starts, and you have to really monitor that so that they're not throwing even more than they would throw in a regular game.
Well, it also strikes me, and I just thought of this, that Syndergaard, it's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So his next start in the six-man would be Monday, but the Mets are off Monday, so he won't pitch till next Tuesday, so he'll have 7 days. So 6 days between starts.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it wouldn't be optimal for a pitcher like me.
Middlebrooks pops it up. Murphy with the angle. And right at the line, catches it in fair territory for the first down.
But I can see, you know, you power pitchers. You got Jacob deGrom. You don't want him to go from whatever innings he threw last year to 220. You don't want Matt Harvey after coming back from Tommy John to be at a high number also. And if you stay in the six-man rotation, I think it eliminates what, maybe 4 starts, which is, you know, 25 to 30 innings.
Yeah, to me, I guess I'm talking more about the emotional residue of having a bad start and having to live with that for a whole week.
It's tough. It's very, very difficult because the longer you think about it, sometimes it can carry over, you know, if you're thinking about it too much. I mean, at least when you're in the every 4th day, you know, you have a day off. Tomorrow, you in a regular rotation, a day off, you do all your running, whatever you have to do. You throw on the side, you take a day, and then you're out there on the mound again with a chance to redeem yourself.
There goes the runner. Pitch outside. Plawecki's throw is a good one. And Alonso is caught stealing. So Alonso, who lumbered home from first on a triple, trying to steal a base, and Plawecki guns him down.
Against the left-hander. Perfect throw by Plawecki. I wasn't sure that Murph applied the tag, but it seems like he slid right into the glove.
And he may not have tagged him because Bud Black's going to come out and he is going to challenge. He already won a challenge. Looked like he got him on the toe, didn't it?
Yeah, he could. I don't think this is going to be reversed.
So the Padres won an earlier challenge, which bought them a second one, and they'll use it here. Terry Collins is coming out, and I think he's got an issue with whether the Padres can challenge, but it's explained to him. And now the umpires are going to confer before they go to the headsets.
I mean, we've said that sometimes when the pitcher gets back on the mound, you can't challenge after that. I think Murph got him, or he definitely can't reverse it.
Well, not based on that, because it certainly looked as though he could have tagged his toe. And now the umpires will go to the headset. So whatever issue Terry had, they have resolved, and the Padres will be allowed to challenge. There was a discussion after the first challenge. Remember, the play was Spangenberg was out at third, and the question whether Alonso would cross the plate, and then it turned out Spangenberg was safe at third. And I think there was some question as to what Bud Black challenged. And so even after the inning was over, they went back for further conversation.
That's a good shot there, guys. He did get him on the toe.
And they confirmed the call. And so the Padres have now spent their additional challenge as the call is confirmed. So it's a caught stealing, 2-4 for the second out. 2-0 to Spangenberg, who's 2 for 2 in this game, a bunt single and an RBI triple. And Leathersich finds the inside corner, 2-1. Here's your Dodge fifth inning recap. Good and bad for Syndergaard. Good, 10 strikeouts. Bad, 7 runs, 10 hits in 4 innings. And while the Mets have done little against Ian Kennedy after getting a first inning run. And now Leathersich behind on Spangenberg, 3-1. It's just me, or are Major League names getting longer?
Yeah, right. Well, most of the guys, which I find interesting, in my day, you'd always had a nickname. You know, like Wilmer Flores would never be Wilmer. In my day, it would have been Will Flores. But everyone likes their proper name.
Spangenberg draws the 2-out walk. That's the first one given up tonight by a Mets pitcher. Now Alexi Amarista, who drove in the first 2 runs of this game for the Padres, with one that he banked off Syndergaard's glove with the bases loaded in the second. Spangenberg takes off. Plawecki makes the throw, but this one is not in time. Spangenberg's just got terrific speed. That's his 5th stolen base.
Well, he went on first move. This ball almost hits Amarista. And Plawecki bounces the throw in there. No chance to get him. Watch Wilmer, though. He stays with him just in case he popped off the bag. I mean, just goes on first movement. Those little strides there at the end.
Boy, Spangenberg must have beaten everybody in the 100-yard dash back in Clark Summit, PA.
It's a first-round pick, wasn't he?
Came out of Indian River Community College. High fastball from Leathersich, 2-1. So remember I said the Rockies were on the verge of sweeping a doubleheader from the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Then Alex Guerrero hit a grand slam in the top of the 9th.
Is that all he does, hit home runs?
Amazing. Part-time player, he's got 10 home runs. 2-2 to Amarista. So it's 9-8 Dodgers in the bottom of the 9th, trying to split the doubleheader. Cardinals got great pitching from Lance Lynn tonight. Pitched into the 8th, and they beat the Brewers 1-0. Phillies rallied. Got a run in the bottom of the 9th. Darren Ruff, the walk-off hit to beat the Reds. That snapped a 7-game losing streak for the Phillies. 2-2 coming, and Amarista goes down on strikes. First strikeout for Leathersich, and that ends the 5th inning. On we go to the 6th. Mets have a lot of catching up to do. An expansion team in 1969. They've never had a no-hitter, never hit for the cycle, never won a World Series. Made it to the World Series in '84 and in '98. Lost to the Tigers in '84 and the Yankees in '98. And they used to have those mustard and mud colored uniforms, the brown and yellow. Western Metal Supply Company warehouse built in 1909 that serves as the left field foul pole and also provides some nice seating. Got some nice shops inside. Lucas Duda leading off the 6th inning against Ian Kennedy, his old college teammate. He's flied out and walked tonight 0 for 1 after sitting out last night. The Tony Gwynn statue. We lost Tony far too early last year.
Hard for me to even believe he's gone. What a great human being he was.
Not only a great player, but basically resurrected the baseball program at San Diego State, his alma mater, where he coached for many years. He was Steven Strasburg's coach at San Diego State, among others. Curveball drilled and caught by Alonso. Well, Alonso's done it all tonight, hasn't he? First game back from the disabled list, and he's been involved all night.
Well, ball hit right on the nose by Duda. And Alonso, I wouldn't say he has great ups, but he had enough ups as he made that play.
So 1 out and nobody on.
People forget about Tony. He was a heck of a basketball player.
Point guard at San Diego State. And when he first started, he could really run. Great outfielder. People remember him in his overweight days later in his career.
You know, but he made himself into a good outfielder. He was not a good outfielder when he first started, but like everything else, he just worked so hard at it to get better.
Good out of Murphy.
Good hand-eye coordination that I've ever seen. It was almost like he almost could place the ball where he wanted to hit it. Would have been no shifts for Tony.
Well, he was such an innovator in so many different ways. He used that toothpick of the bat. He was the first guy who really got involved with video. He used to take his own video recorder on the road with him before anybody else was doing it.
I think he had his wife tape games also when he was on the road. He didn't have to watch too much. Tape of me. I'll tell you that, because he wore me out. Hit almost 450, 460, lifetime.
And the stadium is located on his street, Tony Gwynn Drive. Murphy's already walked once tonight. Kennedy behind him 3-1. And Murphy takes a swing.
Tony is the only guy I ever faced that got a hit off me on a ball that bounced. I bounced it on the plate, and he hit it on the bounce like cricket for a base hit.
Through the 5.5 hole?
Oh, just crazy. I just looked at him at first, and we both had a chuckle.
Murphy goes down on strikes. That's 8 strikeouts for Kennedy tonight. He's having his best night of the season.
So 19 between the two teams. Fastball there from Kennedy.
Well, he's retired 8 in a row. Now Michael Kadire, who's had a couple of hits on 2 strikeouts. First one of them in the first inning, drove in a run, gave the Mets a 1-0 lead, and nothing really has gone right for the Mets since. I think Tony invented that term, didn't he? The 5.5 hole.
I had never heard it until he said it. Yeah.
That area between third and short that teams, before anybody was shifting, would cut down. They would move the third baseman off the line. They'd move the shortstop toward the hole, and he'd still get it through. Also Robles up in the Mets bullpen. But every once in a while, he can also turn on a ball.
Well, I think one year there was a lot of criticism. How can you criticize Tony Gwynn about, he didn't provide any power, driving any runs. He ended up hitting 19 home runs, I think, that year. It's almost like he wanted to show everyone.
He was part of, I think it's still the only back-to-back-to-back home runs to start a game.
That's right.
Marvell Wynn, Tony, and John Kruk.
John Kruk, yep, you got it.
I don't think that's been duplicated.
Marvell, who I played with in AAA, one of the great guys of all time. I remember he struck out Marvell when he was with Pittsburgh, I believe. That was the strikeout that put Dwight past Herb's score for the rookie record.
1-2 to Kadire, and he drills one down the left field line, and Michael's got his third hit of the game. Played off the wall by Upton, and Kadire in standing with a 2-out double. So Kadire is 3 for 3. Let's check in with the studio. Doug Williams has a game break brought to you by Honda. Hopefully it's the start of a great career for Joey Gallo. Hopefully he's not Ted Cox.
That's right.
Didn't Ted Cox go 4 for 4 in his debut and
never to be heard of again?
I don't think he ever got another hit. There's Wilmer Flores, who's flied out twice, and he lines one past the glove of Middlebrooks, base hit. That'll bring in Kadire. Wilmer Flores with an RBI single, and it cuts the San Diego lead to 7-2. So the Mets start their long comeback with a 2-out run.
Oh, nice hitting on this breaking ball from Wilmer. Just a little slider in the middle of the plate. It's interesting. Third baseman Middlebrooks didn't really pick that ball off the bat because he didn't really move until the ball was halfway there.
That'll get Kennedy a visit up to 94 pitches, and Darren Balsley, the longtime San Diego pitching coach, will come out.
Yeah, they don't want this to get away from him. You know, Ian Kennedy's going to be a big part of this rotation, and they just don't want him to leave this game with a sour taste after struggling so much.
Some quick scrambling around in the San Diego bullpen where there had not been any action, but that's about to change. Former Met Dale Thayer grabbing his glove, getting ready for some fastballs.
He's got a different look every year. I like it.
Well, he's gone to the hair in addition to the big beard. The hair has definitely not been shorn in a while. So Flores at first and 2 out. Now Lagares is 1 for 2, singled back in the second. And Kennedy, who gave him a steady diet of curves and changeups his last at bat, starts him off with a curveball for a strike. Kennedy had retired 8 in a row before Kadire's 2-out double, and Flores on the next pitch singles him home, and Kennedy trying to stop it right there with the 5-run lead. And a fastball strike to Lagares, 0-2. This is an important start for Kennedy because the Padres are about to get reinforced with some starting pitching. Brandon Morrow should be back from the disabled list soon. And before too long, they might even get Josh Johnson back.
Well, I thought both of those signings were very good. We're talking about, when they're at their best and not hurt, Johnson and Morrow are about as good a young arms as you're going to get.
Johnson coming back from Tommy John surgery. It seems like a long time that he has been on the sidelines. Pulled foul, but the Mets saw so much of Josh early in his career with the Marlins, and he was as good as they came.
And for that short period.
Well, it has been an interesting series in that each team has had a 7-run game, and yet there's an 11-1 strikeout to walk ratio working. A history-making series in one regard. I still can't get over that. 115 years, it never happened, and it's happened twice in this series. A pitcher goes less than 5 innings, gives up 10 hits, and strikes out 10. Cashner last night, Syndergaard tonight. It's like that series we had here a few years ago where every game was 2-1.
That's right.
Harris has to move and gets out of the way. 2-2.
Well, Dillon should be safe because I don't see Dillon as a 10 strikeout kind of pitcher.
Shields?
He could strike out 10.
The way Shields has been giving up home runs, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. By the way, we start an hour earlier tomorrow, so get your nap in early. Fouled off his foot.
Well, I'm glad you told me that.
It's
come on some of these series on the West Coast. You could have a different game time every day.
Right. Well, I think we have that in Arizona. We have it's 9:30 Eastern Thursday and Friday, then 10 o'clock Eastern on Saturday, then a day game on Sunday. Right. Here's 6 o'clock local, 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. So don't be late. 2-2 to Lagares. Up high. Long turn to bat for Juan. And it's pushing Kennedy's pitch count toward the limit. He's up over 100 now. Threw 88 in his last start. Of course, he got knocked out in the fourth inning of that start against the Pirates.
Now, this will be his last hitter if he doesn't retire Lagares. Does he go to the off-speed pitch with a 5-run lead?
Flores will run, and Lagares hits one down the line foul. Over comes Kemp for an attempt, but beyond his reach. And is he okay? Yeah. He went a long, long way to try and get this ball.
Great hustle by Kemp. Watch his knees go right into the padding. He's got those bad hips. Could not have felt good. Limping a little bit too. It's interesting. With a 3-2 count, because of the hustle by Kemp, Norris goes out not to talk to the pitcher, but to give his right fielder a chance to catch his breath.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat from Kennedy to Lagares. And Juan fouls off another one. So Flores will come on back again.
Well, Lagares could really make this game interesting for the Mets if he could flip one out of here.
He's only hit one home run this year in 187 at bats. A guy from whom the Mets at some point in his career expect to hit with some power, but it has not really gone that way yet. Pitch number 10 coming. And he reaches for ball 4 and fouls it off.
Wilmer getting his sprints in.
Lagares going after a high pitch there. I was watching the Astros, was it last night? Saw Evan Gattis swing at a pitch that was literally over his head. Not just up in his eyes. It was over his head.
He missed it by a foot too.
He had another home run tonight though. Gattis makes contact. Nobody hits him harder. Again the 3-2. Hit hard, but right at the shortstop. Amarista will go to first with it. And that retires the side. Mets get one, but no more. And Kennedy's work probably done after middle of the 6th, 7-2. Tomorrow night, and as we warned you, it starts an hour earlier. Dylan G comes back from the disabled list, pitches against James Shields. Our coverage begins at 8 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. Jed Jerko batting for Ian Kennedy as we start the bottom of the 6th. Jerko, the erstwhile second baseman, struck out as a pinch hitter last night. He's still getting some time at second base, but Corey Spangenberg has scarfed most of the time. And Jerko lines one into left field. He's got a base hit. Second hit given up by Jack Leathersich. He gave up a leadoff hit in the 5th inning as well. And that's now a dozen hits for the Padres tonight. Alonso Robles up in the Mets bullpen, and Ricky Bonas waving the towel, which indicates his man is ready.
He's good to go.
You would think, after all these years, with all the electronic enhancements we have, that the towel would be defunct as the device for letting the dugout 500 feet away know that the pitcher is ready.
Well, I don't know if you remember this when you were calling games in the minor leagues, but sometimes they did not have phones in the dugout, so every reliever would have their sign. So if it was a real tall reliever, the manager would put his hand up very high, or a very chunky reliever, it would make like a rotund kind of sound.
You still see that every now and again if, say, a team has 2 right-handers up in the bullpen and the manager goes out and has to delineate which one that he wants.
That's right.
It's a sidearmer. He might make a sidearm motion or something like that. People's United Bank brings you tonight's historic performances by the starters. Noah Syndergaard, second pitcher in this series in 2 nights to give up double-digit hits, get double-digit strikeouts, and not last 5 innings. After it had never happened. Never in 115 years of modern-day baseball.
Like I said, I'm afraid for tomorrow.
That's the one thing we always say, right? You never know what you're going to see when you come to the ballpark. And yet another example presents itself today. Grounded down to Duda. Can't field it cleanly, so he has to settle for the out at first on Venable as Jerko moves down to second. 1 out.
Well, he just got a kind of an in-between hop, so it was a tough play for Duda. He did the good thing, though, by staying in front of it and knocking it down.
Here comes Terry Collins with the right-hand hitters Norris and Upton coming up. Leathersich will exit, and Robles, having had the white towel waved, will be coming in. Mets down 7-2 in the 6th. Pitching change. Verizon called to the bullpen. We'll be right back.
years ago, we were lucky enough to have some of that tri-tip delivered to our booth.
Yeah.
It was outstanding.
I haven't been here for a few years. This is the first time in this booth. Hansel Robles in the game. He's given up 4 runs in his last 2 outings, so trying to get it straightened out here in this ball game.
Comes in to face Derek Norris, who hit a 2-run homer his last time up. And he takes the low and away ball 1. Norris 2 for 3, had an infield hit in the first, and then put a capper on the ugliness that was Noah Syndergaard's night with that 2-run bomb in the 4th that made it a 7-1 game. That's got to run back in the top of this inning to make it 7-2. Jerko at second and 1 out, and Norris takes up and in 2-0.
2 flat sliders there from Robles.
So I was thinking about this, Ronnie, this incredible statistical aberration we've had in this series, and I was trying to think, is there anything that's ever happened akin to that in a series where one team's pitcher has done one thing one day and the other team's pitcher the next day? And I remembered, I just looked it up, back in 1968 in a September series between the Cardinals and the Giants at Candlestick Park. On a Tuesday night, Gaylord Perry threw a no-hitter against the Cardinals. The very next night, Ray Washburn for the Cardinals threw a no-hitter against the Giants in the same series.
That's crazy. That was the year of the pitcher, right? 68?
All 4. And the year that the Cardinals wound up going to the World Series and playing the Tigers. And they had Roger Maris and Orlando Cepeda and Mike Shannon and Kurt Flood in the lineup. So that was the lineup that Perry no-hit. And then the next day, Washburn throws a no-hitter against the Giants. And it's the only time in Major League history that's ever happened.
Well, I was playing on this team that on Friday night, an Expos pitcher threw a no-hitter for 9 innings, but lost the game in the 10th. Mark Gardner. And then on Sunday, El Presidente, Dennis Martinez, threw a perfect game.
Against the Dodgers.
That's the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium.
2 on for Justin Upton, who's trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero. 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts tonight. He takes strike 1 from Robles.
I remember after that series saying to myself, what do they trade for me for? They're fine with their starting pitching. They don't need me.
So you were in Expo for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
In a 3-day span, you almost saw 2 no-hitters.
Yeah.
Lined, caught by Flores. What a play. The snow cone grab by Wilmer on a rising line drive for a terrific second out.
I mean, ball hit right on the nose from Upton. Nice range there by Flores. Interesting, Murph, you ended up jumping with Flores instead of coming to second base to cover.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
We'll show that again. That's pretty funny.
That's 2 tonight for Murph. Remember, he was standing on third base and he caught the foul ball?
Watch Murph.
He provides almost as much entertainment as Bartolo Colon.
He does.
2 out and 2 on for Kemp, who's 0 for 3. Did he think that by jumping maybe it would help Flores catch the ball?
I mean, what you should be doing is trying to cover second to make a double play.
That's fantastic. One to Kemp, who's grounded out and struck out twice tonight. That's a 12:25 in the morning play right there.
That's right.
Two balls and a strike. What have you seen recently from Robles?
Yeah, one, his slider's become very flat, so he hasn't had a real good secondary pitch. And to me, because he's been hit around a little bit, he's getting a little hesitant throwing the ball over the strike zone. You know, he's trying to be too fine, and he's getting behind in counts.
Well, the Mets bullpen has been spectacular when you consider how itinerant some of the help has been. Vic Black threw another scoreless inning for Binghamton tonight. He's on his way back. Bobby Parnell is on his way back. Rafael Montero is on his way back. I don't know whether he figures into that bullpen. I mean, Familia's been an all-star, but everybody else has just kind of been patching things together. And Robles a part of that. And he strikes out Kemp. Third time Kemp's been struck out tonight. That's a dozen strikeouts for Met pitchers. But as we go to the 7th, Mets are down by 5. Sandbox just beyond the center field fence. Just watch out for incoming baseballs.
That's what I was just thinking, that you've got to be close enough that if someone hits one, you can protect your kid.
Just grab a pail. Kevin Plawecki leads off in the 7th against new Padre pitcher, the former Met Del Thayer. Plawecki 0 for 2. He struck out and lined out.
Ironically, Del Thayer starts his evening off with a breaking ball. We always kid what did he throw? 28 straight fastballs or something?
When he first joined the Mets. And we thought that was all he could throw. Plawecki hits one down the line. Kemp over near that sidewall again. And again he slides, and this time avoids banging his knee against the fence. And again comes up empty. Kemp banged both knees very hard, chasing a foul ball from Lagares in the last inning.
I think at the last second he said, this is not happening again. You know, Del Thayer really has become a good fixture in that bullpen for the Padres the last couple seasons.
They have had a good bullpen for a long time. And it's faltered a little bit this year. Kimbrel has not been up to his normal standards. Plawecki fouls it off his thumbs, 1-2. John Mayberry on deck to pinch hit, and then Curtis Granderson. Last year, the Padres had the best bullpen ERA in the National League. Alex Torres up in the Mets bullpen as Mayberry gets set to bat for Robles. 1-2 to Plawecki. Strike 3 call. Takes the fastball. That's that Del Thayer fastball. 9 strikeouts for Padre pitching tonight. 21 strikeouts in the game.
Fastball painted away. Like I said, that's the strange part about Plawecki's offense, is that he never in the minor leagues struck out as often as he is now.
So here's Mayberry to pinch hit. Mayberry got a start against a right-hander the other day against David Phelps. Went 0 for 4, but hit 2 line drives. It was the first game he had started against a right-hand pitcher this season. Brought here to be a specialist against lefties, but really hasn't hit pitching from either side. That shortstop Amarista all the way over in the hole against John. And Thayer ties him up, but he stops the swing, and it's 2-0. But a rough series for Granderson so far. He's on deck.
93 miles an hour with a little sink. That'll work.
Dale Thayer, now 34 years old, out of Chico State. Pitched in 11 games for the Mets back in 2011. But he's been terrific since coming to the Padres. And he gets even on Mayberry, 2-2.
Well, the first two pitches by Thayer to Mayberry were sinkers down and in, which is the right pitch to throw if you're having the defense that you have shifted on the left side. You want him to pull it.
And he pulls it, but off his foot. And Mayberry's still in there. So tell me, where is Chico?
Chico's Northern California.
Okay.
All right. And funny you asked. When I was looking at colleges, 100 years ago, Chico State always had the reputation as the greatest party school, college in America.
Okay. I'll have to check with Dale. 2-2. Struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dale Thayer. That's 10 tonight for San Diego pitching. 2 out and nobody on.
Hits or strikeouts? That's what you got in this series so far. Chico, I think, is like a couple hours northwest of Sacramento, maybe.
The Chico State Wildcats, of whom Dale Thayer is one of 3 to make it to the major leagues. One of the other 2 is one of the most unspellable names in baseball history. Do you remember a player in the 60s for the Orioles named Clay Dalrymple?
Yeah.
Okay, spell it.
Whoa, boy. I can't. Did Dalrymple have an M in it that was silent?
That's exactly right. Dalrymple. Clay Dalrymple. Sure, he had a good time in college too. Granderson gets tied up and stopped the swing, 1-2. Granderson 0 for 8 in this series with 5 strikeouts. So he's been emblematic of this strikeout-laden series. Trouble is that Curtis is now 6 for his last 40. Has seen his average drop below 230. So it has not gone well for Curtis. Well, 5:30 tomorrow, and every day it's Chris Cohen and Adam Shine getting loud. Loudmouths. With broken glass and all. Line the other way, and Granderson has himself his first hit in the series. Bobbled out there by Upton, but Granderson holds it first with the 2-out hit. And it's Frank Garces getting up in the San Diego bullpen.
They were only lefty, right?
Duda is 2 batters away, and teams have not yet backed off bringing in lefties against Lucas, despite the numbers. So here's Tejada, 1 for 3 tonight. He singled and scored the first Met run back in the first inning. Back in those grand old days when the Mets had a lead in this game. Before the Padres scored 4 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 in the fourth against Noah Syndergaard.
Tejada making his 5th straight start at third base. 9 for 20 in the 5 games.
Have you read anything? Are they fining anyone or still sending letters to people who are not adhering to the pace of game initiatives?
What I read was that in April, the players were so good at following the rules that they were planning to hold the fines in abeyance.
Huh.
Not heard anything further. Hit hard toward the hole, and Tejada's got another multiple hit game. So Ruben continues to get himself on base via the base hit. And the Mets have 2 aboard for Duda.
Good swing here on the hanging breaking ball that Thayer left inside.
Well, they have signaled for the lefty. And so Frank Garces is going to come in to face Lucas Duda with a couple of men on. Duda with a chance to get the Mets right back in this game. Trailing 7-2 in the 7th. We'll be right back to Petco Park. '25-year-old Frank Garces comes in for San Diego.
Only left-hander in that bullpen. He's got control issues, but throws a little bit from the side, makes it tough on lefties.
Lucas Duda 0 for 2 and a walk tonight, and he takes the slider for a strike. Lucas hit a bullet his last time up, and Yonder Alonso made a nice leaping grab to rob him of a base hit. Lucas hitting .367 against the lefties with 4 home runs, 4 of his 9. Batting with 2 out and 2 on in the 7th. The Mets down 7-2. And Duda lays off the curve. It's in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Brandon Maurer is up in the bullpen for the Padres.
2 good breaking balls there from Garces.
Granderson at second, Tejada at first. Duda trying to fight out of an 0-2 hole. And he goes after the curveball, 3 pitches, and Garces strikes out Duda to end the inning. 7th inning stretch time in San Diego, 7-2 Padres.
Debut for the Rangers, filling in for Adrian Beltre. Not bad. Single, double, homer, 4 RBIs. What's he going to do for an encore? Dodgers get a split of the doubleheader. Alex Guerrero hit a 9th inning grand slam at Coors Field. Dodgers won 9-8. And Albert Pujols tied Jimmy Fox for 17th on the all-time list. Career home run number 534, but the Rays lead 6-1 as they play in the 9th. Former Padre Alex Torres will pitch the bottom of the 7th.
You see Torres' numbers so far. 11 walks. It's interesting. If he throws a strike first pitch, he usually has a good at bat against someone, and if he doesn't, it leads to a walk a lot of times.
We'll face Yonder Alonso, who's 3 for 3 in his first game back from the disabled list. Well, there's first pitch strike.
There we go. Should work in his favor.
Off and running. Well, the Mets picked up Alex from the Padres right before the season began in exchange for Corey Mazzoni, who pitched last night for San Diego, but then got sent to the minor leagues today to make room for Yonder Alonso.
The Mets are going to be in that situation tomorrow, right? I mean, they've got to activate Dillon.
Mets will probably send a position player down. They've said they're not going to go short in the bullpen to accommodate the 6 starters, so they'll probably go with a 4-man bench to go with 13 pitchers. So that makes it a nervous hour for a couple of guys on that bench. Murphy down to a knee, and Alonso finally retired for the first time, 1 out of the home 7.
Every time you say that, it's hard for me to even grasp 13 pitchers on the staff.
When you guys played, there were 10, and sometimes early in the season 9.
We would leave spring training with 9. 4 starters, 5 relievers, because you wouldn't need the 5th starter usually until maybe a week, 10 days into the season because of the off days.
Here's Will Middlebrooks, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Singled and scored back in the 4-run second inning that put the Padres in front in this game, and they have not looked back. Noah Syndergaard in his most difficult start as a big leaguer, 4 innings, 7 runs, 10 hits. He did strike out 10, didn't walk a batter. And as we mentioned earlier, he'll have to wait a full week now for his next start, what with the 6-man rotation and an off day coming up on Monday. So he'll face the defending world champions Tuesday night when the Giants come to Citi Field for their only visit of the year.
Every other year. And last year they just rode 1 pitcher. I mean, that was just amazing what Bumgarner did.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll break the trend this year. Certainly, they've lost their last few, but they certainly have looked better the last few weeks after a rough beginning.
And that up the middle, Crawford and Panic is turning out to be outstanding.
Crawford's got a home run tonight, but they trailed the Pirates 7-4 in the 8th. 2-2 now to Middlebrooks. Garrett Cole beat them last night. 2-2 to Middlebrooks, and he bounces one for Flores. Nice big hop. 2 out. San Diego at night. Used to be you didn't venture out late in San Diego, but they have done such a wonderful job in this town of cleaning things up, creating the gas lamp quarter.
I walked around the gas lamp last night after the game, and it was just packed with folks on a Monday night.
Here's Corey Spangenberg, who has singled, tripled, and walked tonight. He's driven in a run. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run. And now facing the left-hander for the first time. Shouldn't have said that. He faced Leathersich his last time up and walked. Leathersich went an inning in the 3rd, no runs, 2 hits. Hansel Robles 2/3 of an inning, no runs, no hits. And now Alex Torres pitching in the 7th.
Trying to think about the bench for that 86 team, Gary. If they're facing a left-handed starter, as Benoit's up in the bullpen, if they're facing a left-handed starter, you'd have Lenny Dykstra, Kevin Mitchell, Howard Johnson. Those are all your bench players. Wally Backman.
Well, the roster size hasn't changed in all these years. It's 25 now, as it was then. So if you're carrying 10 pitchers, it means you have 7 bench players.
It's great.
Which gives you the opportunity to carry a third catcher, carry a guy who may, be a good bat off the bench but can't play the field, a guy who can only pinch run. Gives you so many more options, and I think we've reached the point now where the rosters need to be expanded.
Yeah.
And maybe with some guidelines that you can't bring in even more pitchers.
Yeah.
Maybe place a cap on pitchers at 13 and add a couple of bench players to give teams more flexibility.
It takes a lot of the moves out. My first couple of years, we had Rusty Staub on the bench.
Right.
Fantastic.
All he was going to do was pinch hit.
Exactly.
Torres behind Spangenberg, 3-1. And he breaks his bat, hits it over the bag. Tough play for Tejada against the speed of Spangenberg, who beats it out for his 3rd hit of the night.
Well, as soon as it came to the backhand, Tejada could have put it in his pocket because this kid's just too fast. We've seen him run now all over the diamond.
So he's got a bunt single, a triple, a walk, a stolen base, and now a broken bat infield hit. That's a speed game.
He might be running again.
Alexi Amarista at the plate. And he takes it below the knees. Amarista drove in the first 2 Padre runs with a base hit off Noah Syndergaard's glove. He had a changeup back to the mound, and Syndergaard got fooled by it. It ticked off his glove, went into right field. 2 runs scored, and the Padres were off and running. To an 0 to Amarista. Abraham Almonte is out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Amarista keeps the inning going. Amarista crashes one toward the right field corner, and it hops against the fence. Spangenberg digging for 3rd. Did it go out of play? It did, and that'll save the Mets a run. Spangenberg would have scored easily had that ball stayed in play. Instead, it's a ground rule double for Amarista, his 2nd hit of the game.
Amarista's had a nice night. Ball hit on the line, and it's that angle there produced a kind of a sideways kick, and it ended up going into the crowd.
Off a couple of hands, and that gentleman winds up with an unlikely souvenir. So Amarista has his 4th double of the year. Padres have 2nd and 3rd and 2 out, and now Abraham Almonte, the switch hitting outfielder who hit into a double play in a pinch hit at bat last night. And he hits this one in the air to shallow left. Flores out. Kadire in. Kadire calls. Side retired. 2 hits and 2 left in scoring position. We move to the 8th, where the Mets still down by 5. tonight for Max Scherzer.
Yep.
There's the scene atop the Western Metal Supply Company warehouse down the left field line. The veteran right-hander Joaquin Benoit will pitch the 8th inning for San Diego.
He's appeared in over 600 games with Texas, Detroit, and now here with San Diego. He's had a good career.
Now 37 years old, relies on a great changeup that has never wavered in all his years. Daniel Murphy leads off. Murph 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Murphy, Kadire, and Flores for the Mets in the 8th. There was the one year in Detroit where they had so many problems with their bullpen that they asked Benoit to close games. But for the most part, he's been one of those guys more comfortable in the 8th inning than in the 9th.
It's the year when Valverde struggled.
It's kind of like LaTroy Hawkins, who until very late in his career thrived more in the 8th than in the 9th. Mets 2 runs, 8 hits. The Padres 7 runs, 14 hits. And Murphy slaps one to third. Middlebrooks with the offbeat hop. 1 out. Sometimes you can charge yourself into a difficult hop.
Well, I think he felt as though he had to come in on it, because if he didn't and stayed back, might not have enough time to throw out Murph. But he made it into a tough hop.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Michael Kadire has had a good night. 3 for 3 at the plate. And all 3 hits have come with 2 strikes. Single to center, single to right, double to left. And he hits this one down to third. Middlebrooks with a nice sit spin and throws it out. That's a terrific play by Middlebrooks. And Kadire's retired for the first time tonight.
A beautiful range there by Middlebrooks to his left. For a big man, he's got great hands.
So quickly 2 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores, who drove on a run with a base hit his last time up in the 6th. Ian Kennedy went the first 6 for San Diego, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits. Del Thayer and Frank Garces combined to get the Padres through the 7th, and now Benoit trying to make quick work of the Mets in the 8th. Flores to center, right at Venable. Side retire. 6-pitch inning for Joaquin Benoit. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 7-2 Padres.
down in the strike zone. A lot of strikeouts, 16 strikeouts in 21 innings of work.
Carlos last pitched on Sunday, struck out D. Gordon, gave up a base hit to Martin Prado. They'll face the top of the batting order. Will Venable leads off in the bottom of the 8th for San Diego. Venable 2 for 4 tonight at a 2-run triple to cap the Padres' 4-run second inning against Noah Syndergaard. Venable, Norris, and Upton for the Padres in the 8th. As Torres misses up and away. Sean Kelly up in the Padre bullpen. Looks like he may get the 9th inning after Benoit made quick work of the Mets in the 8th. And Venable lifts one to left, and Kadire stationed perfectly. 1 out. Mets working on their 5th pitcher of the night. Syndergaard lasted just 4, allowed 7 runs, 10 hits, despite 10 strikeouts. Jack Leathersich an inning and a third. Hansel Robles 2/3 of an inning. Alex Torres an inning, all scoreless, despite base runners in every inning. Derek Norris has a 2-run homer in this game. That came in the 4th inning. He's 2 for 3 and a walk. It is now 1 o'clock in the East. And for those of you still with us, we thank you greatly.
Great hustle. If you're still up.
Well, you know, some people don't have to get up for work or school in the morning, and some people are going to watch every pitch regardless of the circumstances. And they just will be a little bleary tomorrow.
I was telling you that some of my greatest memories as a kid were watching the ball games on the West Coast, staying up late and catching every pitch.
See, to me, it was more the radio under the pillow.
Oh, okay.
And Torres makes quick work of Norris for the second out. Well, it's time to vote for your Mets All-Stars because the Internet's open 24 hours a day. Vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Mets.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote at Mets.com now. The one I remember the most, 1973. The Mets played a 19-inning game at Dodger Stadium that ended about 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And somehow I managed to make it through the entire game.
Well, didn't you and Keith do a game in San Francisco?
We did.
Like a couple of years ago that I remember because I was doing the post game going home like at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I remember that mostly for the Seagulls. Because at AT&T Park, the Seagulls take over at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we played there until about 1:30 in the morning local time. And you could barely see home plate from the center field camera through the Seagulls. That's a nice roll. Upton fouls on the run. The thing about that game in '73 is the Mets early in their history played a number of long games. They had a 23-inning game with the Giants and a 24-inning game with the Astros and a 25-inning game a little bit later against the Cardinals, and they lost all those games. That 19-inning game was special because it was the first one of those long games the Mets ever won.
Okay.
The fact that it was on the West Coast and so late at night, was, you know, I was 15 at the time, so it made it very special. 1-2 from Torres, and Upton takes outside. Upton's still in danger of the dreaded golden sombrero. 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts tonight. With a line drive to short that Flores made a great play on his last time up. Upton's gone 0 for 7 in this series so far. Lines one the other way, and that goes foul. The Diamondbacks beat the Braves tonight 7-6. A.J. Pollock homered in the bottom of the 7th to put Arizona over the top. Of course, the Mets are heading to Phoenix after the game tomorrow night. And the Diamondbacks are now just 3 games under 500 after a poor start. Pollock has been a fun player to watch.
He's a good player. Lots of speed.
And he's hitting for a little more power now.
Good defensive player in center field.
They can score. Pitching is always a whole nother issue for the D-backs. Now managed by former Mets coach Chip Hale. Full count to Upton.
I think Billy Webb, you give us a quick shot of Jose Valentin, who's the first base coach after this.
Coming up on Geico Sports Night after the postgame show. Latest on David Wright, as we've been talking about tonight. Jets news, and of course American Pharaoh getting ready for a run of history on Saturday. David's got the gum chewing rhythm down. You don't lose that. In the air, shallow center. Lagares got a late start, but gets in to grab it, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 go the Padres in the bottom of the 8th. Last licks for the Mets with Lagares to lead off in the 9th, down 7-2. Sean Kelly will try and finish off the Mets in the 9th inning. And he starts Juan Lagares off with a breaking ball strike.
Got some major work in last night's game and brought right back.
It's a little odd, don't you think? Yeah. An inning in the 3rd last night. He had middle relief, retired all 4 batters. Lagares bounces one down to Middlebrooks, who's been busy late in this game. And that's the first out of the 9th. 1 out and nobody on. Let's see what's coming up on WB Mason postgame live. Gary Apple, Jim Duquette, guys. All right, gentlemen, Kevin Plawecki bats with 1 out and nobody on. Plawecki 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series. And Kelly gets a letter high strike. Daryl Siciliani's come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. Mets led 1-0 after 1, but Noah Syndergaard got batted around for 4 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th. And the Padres have had the big lead ever since. Kelly, the former Yankee, misses low and away with the slider, and it's 2-1.
It's his best pitch. He likes to use that slider often.
Shaw now 31 years old, out of Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee. You know Austin Peay from their basketball program when they had the great Fly Williams.
Right.
And the fans at Austin Peay would unleash that cry. Fly is open. Let's go pee. Just as Plawecki, and it's 2-2. Only after 1 a.m.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I remember watching those games on the West Coast, Gary. One, you'd have to, try to ask your parents if you could stay up late. That was one. The second, because my dad used to have to get up real early. His job was, he used to get up at 4:30 in the morning. As Plawecki goes down again. You'd have to sit close to the TV so you wouldn't have the volume on too loud to keep him up because we lived in such a small house.
That was the beauty of the radio.
Yeah.
You didn't have to ask. Sometimes, though, it would get a little loud. Mom would come down the hall and bang on the door and say, "Could you go to sleep now?"
Exactly.
We'll read about it in the paper. But it won't be in the paper.
That's right.
It'll be too late.
That's right. I mean, do you remember when Frazier fought Ali, and it was late, but you couldn't afford. We couldn't afford to buy the fight. So the next morning you have to run down to the newspaper shop to see what happened.
Siciliani rips it. Spangenberg grabs it, and that'll do it for tonight's game. Padres get an early lead against Noah Syndergaard, and they even up the series at a game apiece with a 7-2 win.
Well, it was one of those games for Noah Syndergaard. Had a couple of chances to get out of trouble. Was hurt by a couple of curveballs. One to Amarista that went off his glove for a 2-run single. And then the triple by Will Venable on another curveball. But he had 10 strikeouts. But a tough night for Syndergaard and the Mets.
A history-making series in that Andrew Cashner last night became the first player in history to get hit for double digits in hits and strike out double digits and fail to go 5. And then Syndergaard matched that dubious feat tonight. First 2 times in Major League history it's ever happened, and it happens in back-to-back games. So after the Mets won 7-0 last night, it's the Padres who win 7-2 tonight. The game summary brought to you by Verizon. Syndergaard's highest strikeout total and worst outing as a major leaguer. Yonder Alonso comes off the disabled list to pick up 3 hits for San Diego. Derek Norris hits a home run, and the Padres win it 7-2 to even up the series at a game apiece. More coming up from Petco Park in just a moment.